Hi everyone, welcome to Microbiology. I'm Professor Gustin and I'm going to give you an introduction to week 1. And each module for each week starts with the introduction video. And I make these videos fresh in response to what happened in the previous week. I try to give you some feedback. I try to give you kind of a heads up about what's coming up. So this is the most current news that you'll get routinely every week. So I highly recommend that you watch the introductory videos for each week and pay attention. You know, things I say, usually they're things that I want you to know. So I try to keep them pretty short, but this one is a little bit longer than usual because I'm going to introduce to you how we do this each week. And the format that you see this week will look very similar to what you see week after week. So you'll kind of get used to the pattern here. So I went to introduction and to introduction to week 1, and that's where we are. And so I'm going to put this video right here, and so it says video. That's what you clicked on to see this. And then here I have a lecture study guide, and each week you will have a lecture study guide. And I'm going to click on that, and you'll see that it's a document that has learning outcomes and vocabulary. And what I would recommend is clicking this download, and you can download that document. And then what you can do is edit this any way you want. This is where you want to take your notes. And you might want to edit it so you put spaces after each one of these learning outcomes, because these are the topics where you're going to take notes under those. And you might want to type in your notes, or you might want to handwrite them. And then you're also, as you're learning this material, you're going to be using these vocabulary words. So these vocabulary words and these learning outcomes is what I test you on for your exams. So you'll notice it says section 1.1, and that's going to be in your textbook, section 1.1. And I'll show you where you're going to get the information, but you're going to fill this in. Occasionally I throw in some little practice questions just to give you something to make sure you understood that. And it also is just a nice tool to study. So again, after you do these learning outcomes, you should be able to answer these questions. And those are just for your own purposes. And so you want to put this all together and use these handouts. So here's a practice question that summarizes all these molecules. So that's a great resource for studying. So these are your lecture notes. I think you should really use those extensively, print them out when they're all done, and put them in your three-ring notebook. So there's a study guide. So how do you fill in that study guide? Well, you have a couple options, and probably the easiest way is to watch the lecture videos. And so you might remember that study guide, the first section on it was section 1.1. So I make videos, and these would be like lecture videos with PowerPoints. I try to make them relatively short, so I break them up in sections so you can watch one at a time. If you don't have a big block of time, you can watch one and fill in part of your handout, part of your study guide. So watch these lecture videos. Alternatively, a lot of the material, maybe not 100%, but a lot of the material is in your ebook. And you can always get to your ebook whenever you find one of these links that says external learning tool. Remember when we went at the very beginning, start here. There was a McGraw-Hill Connect thing. It says external learning tool. That will get you to McGraw-Hill Connect, and you can get the ebook there. So go to section 1.1 in the ebook, and you can work on filling this in. So you can use your ebook, you can use these lecture videos. Ideally, you'll use both to fill in this study guide. So once your study guide is complete and it's all filled in, you've had a chance to look it over and think about it, then you want to do your lecture assignment. And the lecture assignment is designed to quiz you on the material that you wrote down in the lecture study guide. The lecture assignment is a McGraw-Hill Connect product, and it's called Adaptive Learning. So it's a great big giant multiple choice quiz. And it will give you a multiple choice question. You pick the answer. If you get it right, it goes to the next question, and you can just keep going. If you get it wrong, it'll start adding more questions. you don't see it happening. But if you get a question wrong, it'll actually end up adding questions about that same topic. So the idea is if you review your material and you get most of your questions right in your lecture assignment, it'll take you shorter to get through this than if you were to get a lot of things wrong. So here you're doing the lecture assignment, you're getting multiple choice questions. If you get one wrong, or if you see a question you're not even sure of, there'll be a little section that says that you can read, you can do reading. And you click on that, you can go back, it takes you to the ebook, exactly to the area in the book where that question was taken from. So while you're doing these lecture assignments, you can be going back and forth between the ebook and your lecture assignment. And that ebook will help you reread that material, give you a chance to think about it again, and keep answering questions. So the idea with these lecture assignments is they're not timed. You can take as long as you want. In fact, you can do part of it, stop, come back later, and you can do that multiple times. But this is a great way to reinforce this material and make sure you understand it well. And you might even use this to help you kind of edit your notes a little bit, put a little extra information in there. Once you've completed the lecture assignment, whether or not you got points wrong, whether or not you got questions wrong, completion of the lecture assignment earns you all the points. And you can see the number of points that this corresponds to in your syllabus. So each week they can be different numbers. Okay. The other thing you notice is some of these things that are dark like that and it's not an active link, it's because it's before the start date. So I'm making this video before that start date. Once you hit that start date, this will become active and you can use it. Here's a lab handout. You can click on that and you're going to do the labs. And notice that there's a few things that that you can click on, the study guides, these lecture videos, the lab handouts. All those things need to be downloaded. You can click on those individually, or you can click download and it will download all of those except for these external learning tools. It doesn't download those, but it will download all these things that I made in one movement. And so you can save them on your computer if you want to do them without using the internet. So here's a lab handout. You can click on the lab handout unless you've already downloaded it there. And the lab handout is going to walk you through what we're going to do for lab that week. So there's the download. It has the objectives. This one starts off with the virtual lab, and it tells you to do that virtual lab tutorial. Here's this one's talking about lab safety. To do part 2, you watch this video, review these concepts, and answer these questions. Here's some more virtual labs and a couple more questions. Okay, there's a video. Here's a couple questions. Okay, and that's how the labs are. So you're going to work down those labs, doing the virtual labs, answering any questions that are there. And you're going to get that lab handout all filled out. Fill out all the answers. The virtual labs, the links to the virtual labs are right here. Okay, and you can collapse them or you can expand them, but these are the links to all those virtual labs. When you do the virtual labs, they'll go to the McGraw-Hill Connect. If you complete the lab, it will give you full credit. So here's all those virtual labs. This lab has a lot of virtual labs. They're all kind of short, but there's a lot of them. So you have your lab handout complete, all filled out. You did all the virtual labs. You got points for those. Now there's a lab quiz. Some weeks have a lab quiz. Other weeks don't. Some just have virtual labs. Some just have a lab quiz. Just depends on the week. So this week there's a lab quiz, and you can see because that's active and it says quiz, that's something I made in Brightspace. The lab quizzes are typically questions that I took right off this lab handout. So the lab quiz is a way that I can kind of force you to fill in that lab handout. And so I'll ask a couple of the questions from that lab handout, and you can use the lab handout and answer this quiz. And the quizzes do have limited amount of time. I didn't write the time here, but when you open the quiz, you'll see how much time you have to take the quiz, and you'll take that lab quiz. And then all those grades for that lab will end up in your on your grade sheet, and you'll be able to see what points you got. Okay, so that's what you're going to do this week. To finish out week 1, you're gonna go onto the lecture study guide and then just follow down all here. Notice that a lot of these assignments have, or each of the sections have little boxes there. So if you watch that lecture video, you might want to put a check there. It doesn't matter to me if you put checks there. They're just for you for bookkeeping. So you can remind yourself like, oh yeah, I already did that. I always think it's kind of hard to keep track of what did you do on the online course and what didn't you do. And so I really like these check boxes. So they're just for you. Oh, all right. Enough of all that. Anyway, good luck this week. If you're not sure of anything, ask me. I'm around. Email me. I'd be glad to talk to you. Take care.